In the first story, President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, has emphasized that quality public service goes beyond bureaucracy, stressing that it fundamentally is about serving the citizens. He noted that strong public services enable societies to flourish, while weak systems deepen inequality, erode trust, and undermine democracy.
This year's theme, Quality Public Service for Dignity, is both timely and profound. It reminds us that public service is not just about administration or bureaucracy. It is about serving the public. It's about a moral contract between the state and its citizens. The assurance that every citizen, regardless of income or status, has access to the basic conditions that uphold their human dignity. That is education, healthcare, water, sanitation, justice, and security. When public services are strong, societies flourish. When public services fail, inequality deepens, trust erodes, and the foundations of our democracy are weakened. So yes, the quality of our public services is directly linked to the quality of our human dignity.
Speaking at the 14th Regional Conference for Africa and Arab Countries, AFRECON2025, held at the Kempinski Hotel in Accra under the theme, Deliberating on Quality Public Service for Dignity, President Mahama said his reset agenda seeks to restore trust in public institutions by promoting efficiency, integrity, and a citizen-centered approach. The agenda, he explained, focuses on strengthening civil and local government services and enforcing accountability across government agencies.
Under Ghana's reset agenda, our vision for national renewal focuses on restoring trust in public institutions and ensuring that public service embodies efficiency, integrity, and a citizen-centered approach. We're strengthening the civil and local government service, expanding digital governance, and enforcing performance accountability across ministries, departments, and agencies. Our reforms include a new public service performance management framework, the full operationalization of the Human Resource Management Information System, and a renewed focus on training, ethics, and merit-based advancement.
Similarly, the Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana, CLOGSAG, Dr. Isaac Bampoado, urged that political appointees should be required to pass examinations before being appointed to positions in the public service, as was practiced during the Gold Coast era between the 1920s and 1940s. He stressed that the human factor in economic development within democracy should not be taken for granted, describing it as the bedrock of national progress.
As it was in the Gold Coast between 1920 and 1940, where political officers were required to pass examination on the law of thought, law of evidence, and native law before being confirmed to their positions, current political appointees could also be made to pass examinations in the public services before they are appointed.
Speaking at the same event, President of Public Services International, PSI, Britta Lejeune, highlighted transparency as key to fighting corruption and strengthening Ghana's public sector. She warned that 50 million outdoor workers face climate-related risks and urged resilient public services to ensure accountability from major polluters while protecting vulnerable groups. She added that PSI's Regional Program of Action for Africa and Arab Countries focuses on defending workers' rights and empowering youth, migrants, and persons with disabilities.
When it comes to democratic governance, here in Ghana, we have the Right to Information Act from 2019, I think, that gives citizens access to information. Transparency is really one of the most important keys for fighting both corruption and also to improve public sector work. So yes, we see impressive progress with improvements. This region is also marked by water and heat crisis. By 2030, 250 million Africans will endure severe water stress. In the MENA region, that is warming twice as fast as the global average, 50 million outdoor workers are at dangers. As we all know, It is the 10% richest in the world that causes almost half of the emissions in the world. And in many cases, this is now made worse by the rich countries that turn their back on poorer parts of the world. A just transition to a low-carbon economy requires resilient quality public services to ensure that those that causes the problems also pays, and that the most vulnerable do not bear the most significant burdens. Dear sisters and brothers, many governments are stuck in financial frameworks that freeze wages, block new recruitment, push privatizations, and meanwhile, the super rich are getting richer. This drains our common system just when we need them most. That is why we must demand fiscal space for investments in welfare, in climate adaptation, and secure jobs. And this is not an easy task. We are living in chaotic times. Democracies are declining. Authoritarian regimes backed by oligarchs gain power and influence. They demolish public sector. They attack public sector workers in order to grab even more money and even more power. They know that public sector workers and democratic institutions are obstacles in their way. They know that unions are obstacles for their ambitions. That is why we are under attack. That is why our task is difficult. You know this better than others. But the trade union movement is one of few forces against the evils of our time. We are the ones that make society work and who hold it together when the storm hits. Organization is our method. Solidarity is our strength. When inequality increases, when climate catastrophes needs urgent actions, and when devastating war torments more and more people, time has come for a change. Our trade union work and our work for quality public services are totally necessary if we are going to change all this. The regional program of action for the African and Arab region is dealing with these problems. The program prioritizes the work to organize, to defend trade union rights, to advance gender justice, and empowering young people, migrants, and disabled workers. It points out the road to a just economy through opposition to privatization of public services, demanding tax justice, fighting corruption, and trade exploitation. The program opposes neoliberal politics and offers alternative pathways to a more democratic, sustainable, and just society.
The General Secretary of PSI, Daniel Bertosa, also encouraged public servants to uphold professionalism, remain non-partisan, and stay committed to the principles of good governance in delivering quality service to citizens.
As inspiring as the words were today from the President of Ghana, not all politicians seek the same vision and have the same wisdom that he does. And for this continent, these circumstances present a doubly important question, because the shift to a multipolar world creates space for countries to forge an independent path, for countries to put an end to the idea that there is only one path to development via extreme neoliberalism and market fundamentalism, and through the covert influence of old colonial powers. It creates an opportunity for us to create a new model where workers lead, where the wealth we create is fairly distributed, where public services are there for dignity, which is the great theme of this Congress over the next few days, and for a fair and just development. But most important, that shift in the global world order creates opportunities for national sovereignty and true independence for all nations. And so, as I mentioned in the opening, the principles of the non-aligned movement are more important than ever. So as public service unions and defenders of democracy, we must understand the importance of the moment that we face. Because those who seek to use this anger to progress an anti-democratic agenda They do not want independent civil servants giving evidence-based advice. They do not want independent courts and regulatory authorities denouncing corruption and checking their power. They do not want free markets in which they have to compete, but they want to establish monopoly power for the largest global corporations and contracts for their corrupt business cronies. And they certainly do not want free and democratic and powerful trade unions who can mobilize members and hold them to account and demand democracy. And brothers and sisters, as we consider the debates over the coming days, it's important for us to remember that it is our members who do this work. It is our members who hold a public service ethos, who work for the benefit of the many, not the few, the powerless, not the powerful. And the very existence of public service unions who protect these workers doing that work is simply increasingly no longer compatible with the agenda of these far-right politicians. And that, brothers and sisters, is why we are seeing an increasing amount of aggressive attacks on public service unions and their leaders, and some of them are in this room, around the world. And the speed and the severity of these attacks means we can no longer wait until we are attacked before we start to prepare, because by then it will be too late. We must prepare now, and we must prepare to fight back. The fight back must start today.